So if you dream of travelling in Australia, or if you just want to see more of the country, then the choices on YouTube for channels who do travel vlogs are almost endless. You can find yourself just scrolling through channel after channel of content and wondering, well, where do I start? So in this video, I'm going to share my top 5. Now, before I go any further, I'm just going to mention I live with 2 dogs and a 1-year-old cat who hasn't really completely grown out of the kitten phase yet. So one thing I've discovered is that it is almost impossible for me to do audio for any of my videos without the accompaniment of a snoring dog or a purring cat, or, as is the current instance, the cat playing in the background, so bells or thumping around like a crazy loony. So I've long since given up trying to work around these noise obstacles, because I would just never get any content created if I were to try and wait for all 3 of them to coordinate themselves to the point where I could do recordings without any of the added noises. So how did I land on these top 5 channels? Well, these are channels that I go back to. I've looked at several other channels that were just everyday travel channels. You know, just the usual couple who were travelling, showing you a video of their travel. But I didn't really connect with them. I didn't really feel the desire to watch any more of their content for one reason or other. These 5 are the ones that I go back to. Now, this wasn't actually originally meant as a top 5. There was actually 4 channels that I had in mind that I was going to talk about. But then, while I was gathering little snippets of content from the 4 channels, another channel popped up in my feed and I watched it. And I decided that I actually quite liked that channel. So suddenly my video on my favourite channels became a top 5. So let's begin. So my most recent discovery is a channel that's called Alesha and Jarryd, NOMADasaurus. I mean, straight away, a name like that makes you want to check it out. So kudos for the name, definitely a good one. Now, I think what makes this couple appealing for me is that they've been travelling for quite some time. They know what they like. They're basically creating videos about experiences that they want to have and they enjoy. I suspect also that they probably make plenty of use of forums and such, because they certainly seem to be able to find the kind of experiences that a local might find. And when they do something, they seem to do it properly. What do I mean by that? Okay, Wineglass Bay in Tasmania. You may have heard of it. You may have been there. It is utterly divine. It's a beautiful beach. It's shaped a bit like a wine glass. The hike to get there is a bit of work. You have to go uphill for quite some time and then back downhill again. But as someone who's done it several times, as someone who used to live in Tasmania, there is just something about hiking across to Wineglass Bay, particularly if you do it in summer, and then you can head along the beach and go swimming in the bay. Because of the shape of the bay, the water is quite warm, and it's just a really nice place to swim. The water is also super clear as well. So it's that whole experience of hiking through the bush and then getting to this utterly beautiful beach where you stroll along the beach for a bit, find a spot, and you go swimming in this most beautiful location. Thing is, very few channels seem to get the idea that Wineglass Bay isn't about hiking up to the lookout, which is the halfway point, and looking at Wineglass Bay and then heading back to the car park. You can go anywhere in Australia and Tasmania and look at beautiful beaches from a lookout. The thing with Wineglass Bay is that you've got to experience it. And that's what these guys did. So, straight up, that won me over. They got the idea that Wineglass Bay was about the full experience. Not just the hike, not just stopping at a lookout, but actually getting down into Wineglass Bay and having a swim in the bay. Now, They seem to be, with their videos, they seem to have less budget restrictions than the other channels that I'm going to talk about. So they seem to also go for experiences because they want to do them and not be so restricted like some of the other channels. So they show some really lovely restaurant experiences, and I'll show you some of that in the little clip. The one thing I found slightly frustrating with their channel is that, for me, when I find a new travel channel, what I like to do, and this is, it's the way I do it, I like to watch the content in sort of grouped videos. So, for example, videos of travelling in Victoria, and then videos of travelling in Tasmania in a series. These guys set up playlists on their channel, but they haven't made them a priority. So for me, having just discovered their channel, I'd like to start with looking at their Australian content, because unlike some of the other channels that I'm going to talk about, these guys actually travel outside of Australia too. I haven't looked at any of that content yet, but it looks pretty amazing. But in terms of the playlists, I went into their Australia playlist. I think it was titled Australia and New Zealand, and I think there was 1 or 2 videos in there. So it means that for me to watch all their Australian content, I need to either keep skipping through all their videos to find their Australian content, or create my own playlist that I can then eventually delete after I've gotten through it. So that's probably the one thing I would change about that channel. But overall, I quite liked it. I thought they were a really lovely couple, and I thought the experiences they were sharing were experiences that I would definitely enjoy. Some of them I'd definitely already done, but experiences that I could totally appreciate and that I would totally enjoy.
We are coming to you from the beautiful, amazing National Park in Tasmania, Maria Island. Yay! Here with Alesha and our good friend Ali from Colombia. We're going to be hanging out here for a couple of nights. This place is best known for its wildlife. You've got super cute wombats and Tasmanian devils, and for the convict history, which you can find in the buildings all over the island. All right, let's go check it out.
It was 30 minutes, well organised, the ferry was awesome. It's $45 per person. It's not the cheapest, but so worth coming over. We just got off the ferry 10 minutes after walking towards our camp. Boom, we see a wombat with a little baby. And they're so fluffy, they're so cute.
Super cute. So what we're going to do is we're going to set up our tents just here. We just claimed a little spot. You can grab the mountain bikes, go for a pedal, a couple of mountains that we're going to be climbing. But yeah, basically we're going to show you guys what you can get up to with 3 days here in Maria Island.
Next on my list is a couple called Lydia and Wehan. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right. Now, I will comment on one thing. When I first discovered this channel and I thought, wow, I love this channel, I have to watch more, because I didn't save it as a playlist or anything, I forgot the name of the channel. And the reason I forgot the name of the channel is because there are so many travel channels out there where they just call themselves the name of the people who are on the channel. Now, that's fine if you are a channel like Jack and Megan, who I utterly adore, and I'll get to them soon, because they've got 50,000 subscribers. So they're not going to vanish in the algorithm. But if you're a new channel and you're a smaller channel, you're going to get lost in the algorithm if you just call your channel such and such and such and such. That's my thoughts, but I know it's the genre and that's the way a lot of people do it. But for me, as someone who watches this content, I like the memorable names. The ones that I can find again after I've watched a few of their videos without having to wait for their videos to pop up again in the algorithm. So why do I love Lydia and Wehan? They're a van travel channel. In contrast to the last channel I was talking about, these guys are probably the most budget conscious couple out of the 5 that I'm discussing. They're really lovely, down to earth people, completely upfront about everything. And they prefer the more organic, nature-based experiences. They show that you can get out and enjoy a trip without spending a lot of money. So, because they're travelling in a van, they manage to do a lot of free or cheap overnight stays, and the places where they stay are just beautiful. They do their research beforehand, so they know what they're looking for, and they end up at some really stunning places. A lot of what their content is hiking, and as part of that, I have to say, this channel has the most amazing videography that you're going to see on a travel channel. The photos that they use, just the videography that they use. They love native animals, and some of the videos that they create of native animals are just amazing. Something that you would expect to see on a National Geographic channel where, you know, a professional filming crew have gone in and spent ages trying to get the magic shot. Whereas these guys are just quiet and they're patient, and they get some utterly amazing footage. So, for me, the number one thing for this channel is the videography. It's worth watching it just for that. Now, probably the one thing that perhaps bugs me a little bit about this channel is their habit of shortening place names. Now, I don't think that to them it's meant as disrespectful, but I was watching their Tasmanian travel stuff, and as someone who grew up in Tasmania, it kind of grated on me a little bit when they shorten place names in a way that locals wouldn't do. I'm not sure why that grated on me so much, but it did. So, talking about Cradle Mountain, and they were saying we're going to Cradle. And that one wasn't one of the most grating ones. I can't think of other examples right now. And I recognise that in Australia we do shorten place names a bit. But some of them we don't, or if we do, there's a local way of shortening them. Anyway, don't let that put you off. These guys are fantastic and well worth checking out their channel.
Look at all the snow on the handrails. It is so thick and like fluffy. We hopped straight off the bus. We came straight to Dove Lake because it's really clear at the moment. There's no clouds and it's all snowy and beautiful.
I'm actually like so relieved that there's a little bit of snow on there.
I know.
And there's like no regrets that we didn't do this.
Yeah, because it's still so snowy and beautiful and we still get that.
Yeah.
And it's nice and clear.
And it's clear and we can actually see everything.
But we're at the, what is this, like observation area?
Yeah,
super
the Dove
fancy
Lake
looking
area.
Yeah, super fancy looking, but let's go check it out and... It's so pretty. Oh my gosh, the snow.
Oh, this is so
exciting. So
it's
cute.
so beautiful.
Yeah, it is. Cute. Everyone's off taking pictures of the lake, but the echidna, I was about to say the wombat, the echidna has stolen us. Look at it.
Now, another channel that is relatively new to me, but which I fell in love with straight away, is called As We Wander. So they're another couple who are travelling in a van. But what makes them unique is that they take their little daughter around with them as well. Now, I guess because they've got their daughter with them, they have to be a bit more relaxed, and they travel at a possibly slower pace than some of the other channels that I've watched. So when they go somewhere, they'll set up camp and they'll stay there for 2 or 3 days. So that what you get is that you feel like you are there with them, because they really create some videos that make you feel like you're experiencing it with them. You're part of the experience. They are another channel that did Maria Island, and I have to say their footage of going to Maria Island was the best I've seen, because they did show you the walk that they did. They showed you the wombats that they found. They took you along for every part of the experience. And it was so, so real. And of course, it was just magical watching the way their daughter was interacting with the environment around her. And I couldn't help thinking this little girl's going to grow up to be something amazing because of these experiences that she's having while she's still a baby. So definitely this is one of my top channels. Just the feeling that you are experiencing with them, the location where they're at, the fact that they do slow down and really cover the places they go to. It just makes it really enjoyable. And I must admit, it did make me feel a little bit, I wouldn't say homesick, because I no longer consider Tasmania at home, but it certainly made me think how much I would dearly love to head back to Maria Island for a bit of a holiday, a bit of hiking, a bit of swimming, just enjoy the beauty of the place.
It's our first mini walk. I'm going to call it a mini walk because I think it's really short.
And the loop's closed. So.
Yeah. Oh yeah, we're on the Grand Canyon walk. Pretty short. We've left at a pretty late time today, I feel like, for walking. So we'll just do a short one. I think it's after 11. We left our carrier in Perth. So this is us carrying a baby. Which kind of limits us with what hikes we can do, but that's okay. To be able to walk through there, but something broke. Someone's broken. Oh dear. No, she doesn't want to leave. We live here now.
She wants to keep going now.
We live here now. Okay, we've made it back to one of our favourite places in Queensland, one of our favourite islands. We're on Jarryd. We're so excited to be back here. I'm going to camp for the next few nights, but there's one difference
This
of
time
how
we're
we
doing
got
it
here.
by boat.
Yes.
So first time camping via boat on Jarryd.
Okay, now for my top 2 channels. First of all, as I've already mentioned, there's Jack and Megan. And if by some chance you guys are watching this, congratulations on 50,000 subscribers. You guys have worked so hard. Your channel is so brilliant. You deserve it. Now, these guys, up until recently, their content has been a van life content. Although at the moment, they're doing a series which is a caravan rebuild, and I'm loving that. They've bought a 50-year-old caravan which they've completely gutted out, and they are building it from scratch. And, they're not experts. They're learning as they go along. And I think that's what makes it even better, just being there, being part of the experience, learning as they're going along and seeing how it's all starting to come together and looking fantastic. And, of course, the anticipation of the future trips that they're going to make in that caravan. So I've watched all their content right from the very beginning. They're so much fun and they're so real. You really get to know them as people, and you get the sense of how passionate they are for the places that they go to. So it's not just about here, look, we're here at this beach. This is what this beach looks like. There's so much passion about the places they go to. You know that they put their soul into these places. And a lot of the places they go to seems to be the places that they are happiest is where there's water. So a lot of their content is the beautiful, beautiful beaches that we have in Australia. So many beautiful beaches. And they share them. They share the experience of being there. And they use drone footage, which is fantastic. They are another channel which do have some pretty outstanding videography. So they're worth watching just for the videography. But even that aside, they're just really friendly, easygoing, lovely people. And they're like an open book. You see their ups and downs and the tensions. They don't hide when they've had an argument over things. They don't pretend that it's all roses. And of course, the thing that I utterly love about their channel is that they are so very Australian. They have the classic Australian sense of humour, and that comes out so often in their content. I find myself laughing so much when I'm watching their channel. And their bloopers, I'm not sure if they're still doing them at the moment. I haven't seen so many of them lately. But their bloopers at the end are usually pretty good too. They make you want to go back for more. You feel like they're almost friends. You know, they're the sort of people that you feel like you're really getting to know them. And you want to go back and find out what's going on in their world. It's not just about the travel. It's about them as individuals. So if you've never ever seen Jack and Megan, you're missing out. They are definitely one of the best Australian travel channels. In terms of Australians doing Australian channels, I would say the best.
The time has come for us to return to our home state, so over the next 4 days we're tackling the 3,500 kilometre journey from tropical North Queensland all the way to Western Australia.
We just bought this car, we took it to Cape York, and now we're doing the massive journey to Perth. That's crazy. If we make it, it's going to be the biggest accomplishment ever.
I'm going to be totally honest, when we first set out to film this road trip, we kind of thought it would just be a whole lot of this. But it turns out travelling through outback Australia can have some real highs.
That was the Aussiest thing I've ever seen in my life.
And some real lows. But the first stop as you come into the Shark Bay area is Shell Beach.
It is beautiful.
It's so pretty, and it's not just a nice name for it as well. There is no sand, it's just all these little teeny tiny shells. Oh, there's a bit of sand under there. But anyway, yeah, just covered in these shells. We also read on the way in that the water here is twice as salty as the open ocean. So if you're like me and you're not very good at swimming, it's probably a good place to come have a float.
You're just going to float.
Yeah, you probably come out in a layer of salt.
Look how clear it is, Megan.
So pretty, hey?
As you're getting closer to the water, they're getting whiter.
Yeah.
Pick them up, have a look. What do they look like?
It's like every 90s mum's bathroom, you know, you just see these in a jar. How are you going to feel with your feet if it's salty?
I can't push my foot down.
You're kidding.
I'm serious.
No.
It won't go down.
Stop lying. Are you going to taste it? Oh.
It's very salty.
So my number 5 channel, now technically they're not Australian. So on one hand you could say that they're not an Australian travel channel. But at the end of the day, their subscribers, their Australian subscribers, have basically made them honorary Australians. So I think it's worth allowing them to be part of this top 5. Now this is One Pack Wanderers. This is an utterly beautiful couple who come from America, Tia and Chevio. Now, obviously they're not living in Australia. They have done a 6-month stint travelling around the coast of Australia, which was so very enjoyable. But if you also are interested in overseas travel, their stuff is just phenomenal. Their Vietnam bike tours that they've done, beautiful. And one of the things I love about their channel is when their family become involved. So when they went to Vietnam, Chevio's father came over and joined them on a bike, and his sister and brother-in-law have been on their channel several times, and they just add to the feel of the content. They're all really lovely people, and when they come back on an episode, it's like having old friends suddenly reappear. It just makes it all the more enjoyable. So what do I like about these guys? They're so enthusiastic about everything they do. And why are they honorary Australians? Well, when they came and did their road trip, they just thoroughly immersed themselves in the whole Australian road trip experience. They bought themselves a little car, a little Mazda, and they did the whole Aussie road trip. They went to all the places that I would love to go. And they keep it real. They're honest about what they're feeling, what they're experiencing. And you just really do start to feel connected to them. So Tia is really open about her struggles with anxiety. And you feel that you want to be there and help her out with those struggles. And you feel proud of her when she faces her anxiety head on and achieves something utterly phenomenal despite her anxiety. And I appreciate when Chev is stirring Tia about something that maybe bugs him a little bit and that is a cause of tension. Because at the same time, you can see how much he adores Tia and how much he would protect her no matter what. So, you know, a large part, it's not just the beautiful places that they take you to. And it's another couple that use a drone and get some beautiful drone shots. So it's not just about the travel and the places they take you to. It's about them as individuals. They just are the sort of people that you fall in love with and you look forward to seeing their next episode because they are just beautiful people. And of course there's the humour. They crack me up. They have this ongoing thing called Tia for Scale, where if they go to a place where something is really, really big, then Tia will run off and she'll stand in front of it so that you can get a visual idea of just how big things are. If you don't get Tia for Scale on a video, you feel kind of ripped off. And of course, the other thing, during their trip around Australia, Tia fell in love with the big things that we have in Australia. So that became a bit of a running joke also. She was constantly trying to find new big things that they could go to. Chev's reaction to it was also just so utterly amusing. So, not exactly Australian, but I'm going to say honorary Australians so they can be in my top 5 and definitely up there alongside Jack and Megan as far as the top Australian travel channels. Although I guess possibly because Jack and Megan's content is almost exclusively Australian, that possibly pops them up into number 1 status.
This is the tallest lighthouse in Australia. Tia for Scale. There she is. There's Tia.
Thanks everyone, and have one more.
We get to meet them. Top of that fish, pop it under the water in front of the face, hand up out of the water and turn to your camera person and give a big smile.
Gentle.
Yeah, so gentle.
You just turned it into a tradition, huh?
Yeah, absolutely. And they train their calves and then they go too. Down you go in front of the face and then hand up out of the water, up you come and give your person a smile.
That is so cool.
Thank you, Al.
They're so gentle.
This whole overlook makes all the buildings look like little Tic Tacs.
One thing I think is kind of neat about Australia is there's just this town, but overlooking the rest of the valley here and the river and everything, there's almost nothing. And in most countries, a river valley like this would just be completely full of civilization, but it's just a little pocket of it. That is the best part about Australia, is how empty it is. I mean that in a really nice way.
I need to go to the bathroom.
It stopped like 20 minutes.
No, I need to go.
Really? Yeah. Now, Tia, what is this? No, there's not. No. There's not a... Is this... So this is the big sugarcane toad. To be honest, I really thought I had escaped these because I knew there was a bunch between Sydney and Brisbane, but Tia didn't do it to me at all. So I figured I was safe because it was getting more rural north of Brisbane over the last several days. But here we are. Buffy the toad. Do you ever scale?
Oh, there's Roseman.
Oh wow. There she is, there's Tia.
So, I hope you've enjoyed my video. I hope this gives you some insight into some channels that you might want to look at yourself if you're into Australian travel. Thanks for listening, and please, if you like what you've seen, please hit the subscribe button. It's free and it helps me to grow my channel. Also, if you can hit the like button, that also helps me get further into the algorithm in YouTube and get seen. And I'd love to hear your comments, your thoughts. Have you seen any of these channels? Are there other channels that you watch that you enjoy just as much? Thank you.